What's going on, you guys? I want to give you guys a stimulus check update and stimulus package update, particularly with the Cash Act stimulus bill, including the $2,000 stimulus checks, plus what happened earlier with Mitch McConnell and the Senate vote, and how today's congressional session combined with the Georgia runoff elections could force the Cash Act stimulus bill to be passed, providing $2,000 stimulus checks to millions of American people. But first, I want to say welcome back to all my subscribers. I really appreciate you guys. And for those who are brand new to the channel, my name is Ron. We cover all things personal finance, investing, and of course, stimulus check updates as well as stimulus package updates. So if you have not already, definitely subscribe to the channel and tap the notification bell so that you know as soon as I release new videos and content. But let's go ahead and jump right into this. All right, guys, so lots of new information has come out over the last couple of hours. I just want to kind of get you guys quickly up to speed on where we are and what to expect in the next coming days, with everything. So to start off, you got the House of Representatives. They recently passed a $2,000 stimulus check bill yesterday, and the final vote was 275 to 134. And so this allowed the stimulus check bill to basically successfully pass the House. Now, as I've previously said, this sent the stimulus check bill over to the Senate, where, of course, your favorite person in the world, Mitch McConnell, holds the power of, holding the vote for the stimulus check bill, whether he does it or not, right? And we've all heard from Mitch McConnell saying that he wanted a targeted stimulus package being passed for the American people, and if we look back at the past, several months, there have been several bills from Mitch McConnell where he's been sending to the Senate floor to have a vote, and they've essentially all been skinny bills with smaller budgets. But now there are several big game changers that are now including President Donald Trump, who is putting a lot of pressure on Mitch McConnell, as well as many other Republicans, to support this new bill of $2,000 stimulus checks. Now, with that being said, we've got several Republicans who are now on board with the $2,000 stimulus checks. Now, we really don't have to worry about the Democrats supporting the $2,000 stimulus checks, but from the Republican side of the room, we know we can depend on Senator Josh Hawley. We've also got Senator Marco Rubio. And lately, we've even heard from Mitt Romney, who's in support of these new $2,000 stimulus checks. Now, while I've been watching this whole thing play out, I'm even seeing the Georgia runoff election Republican candidates David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler climbing on board to support these $2,000 stimulus checks. Now, keep in mind that up until this point, out of the senators that are competing for these two open seats in the Georgia runoff election, the only candidates that were openly supporting the $2,000 stimulus checks were Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock. Now, keeping in mind that both of these two candidates that were in support of the $2,000 stimulus checks, they're both Democratic candidates. Now, with that being said, initially, we weren't hearing any support from the Republicans on the $2,000 stimulus checks. And so what that did is it put many voters into a situation where if they wanted to increase their chances that they would actually receive a $2,000 stimulus check, they would actually have to vote for the two Democratic candidates, whether or not they necessarily wanted to vote for Democrats or not. And so what that would have meant is that many votes that would normally have gone to the Republican candidates may have actually gone to the Democratic candidates just to kind of guarantee their $2,000 stimulus check. But now the two Republican candidates are on board with the $2,000 stimulus checks to the American people, and this significantly increases the Republican candidates' ability to be able to win more votes in the Georgia runoff elections that basically take place next week, like today, next week. So of course, Mitch McConnell will definitely be keeping this in mind, considering what we've heard from Senator Deb Fischer this morning. New proponents of the $2,000 checks include Georgia's two embattled Republican senators, David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler, who find themselves in tough re-election battles that will decide the fate of the chambers next week. Senator Deb Fischer of Nebraska also lent support Tuesday, declaring that people are hurting and we need to get them more aid. They joined Senator Josh Hawley, Senator Marco Rubio, and Senator Lindsey Graham, who have also supported the idea of $2,000 stimulus checks. And keep in mind, guys, that in order to get the stimulus check bill passed in the Senate, we only need 13 Republican senators to vote for this bill. And based on what we're seeing so far, if we add Senators, Deb Fischer of Nebraska, who recently, albeit, half-heartedly verbally supported the second round of $2,000 stimulus checks, we're already at 5 Republicans in the Senate. So, I really feel like, this could potentially pass. We just need a little bit more confirmation for a few more Republican senators, which I'm pretty confident that we're going to see more and more coming out of the woodwork in the coming days. And of course, Mitch McConnell is also under pressure from Bernie Sanders to put the bill on the Senate floor. Mitch McConnell wants to pass the override on Trump's veto of the Defense Authorization Act quickly. And last night, Bernie Sanders essentially threatened to filibuster the veto override if Mitch McConnell doesn't put the $2,000 stimulus checks on the Senate floor for a vote. And this morning, Chuck Schumer attempted to get the unanimous consent on the House for the $2,000 stimulus check bill. And like I reported earlier, that failed as it was blocked by Mitch McConnell. And then, of course, Bernie Sanders tried to get his action on it again. And, then Mitch McConnell blocked it as well. So then Bernie Sanders blocked a quick passage of the override of President Trump's veto of the Defense Authorization Act. So it's basically a big game of tennis that these guys are playing right now. And of course, the American people hang in the balance while they play this game. But now this doesn't mean that the $2,000 stimulus checks are off the table. So this is not necessarily bad news. And I don't think that a lot of people didn't expect what happened today. And in fact, this just means that when Chuck Schumer tried to get a unanimous consent to get this thing passed quickly, he was basically blocked so that this, simply adds on to the delay, but it's not an outright rejection of the $2,000 stimulus check. So I don't want you guys to panic or worry or, feel like, hey, we're not going to see $2,000 stimulus checks and that there's zero chance of it. No, that's really not the case at all. Now, of course, this really doesn't come as a huge surprise to me because if you look at the way that these politicians play games, I really don't think that anyone would have assumed that this would have, passed unanimously by the Senate Republicans. I mean, think about it. This is a huge game of negotiation. Why would they just simply pass a bill that, that the House of Representatives or that mainly Democrats wanted to get passed, right? So if I'm a Republican, let's think about it, right? If I'm a Republican, I don't want to just give Democrats what they want if I want something too. So I'm probably going to use that as leverage. And it looks like that's what they're doing. Now, of course, you guys know I'm not, Democrat or Republican. I try to play, right down the middle and give you an unbiased opinion. But I'm just thinking about it, from a standpoint of negotiation tactics and strategy. And it looks like that's what these guys are doing. And just like Nancy Pelosi didn't get unanimous consent in the House for the $2,000 stimulus checks last week, this just forced the House of Representatives to have a full recorded vote, which they actually voted on yesterday, and the $2,000 stimulus check bill ended up passing successfully. So pretty much that's essentially what's going to happen here in the Senate. So Chuck Schumer basically did the same thing that Nancy Pelosi did. He attempted to get unanimous consent. He got blocked, which is what happened to Nancy Pelosi last week. And now we simply need to get this bill onto the floor so that it can be voted on. And I think that there's a good chance that this $2,000 stimulus check bill, the Cash Act stimulus check bill, it can actually pass. And I don't want to, get anyone's hopes up, but, the only thing we need now is to see if Mitch McConnell will actually allow the stimulus check bill to be sent to the floor to be voted on. Now, here's a really quick clip from Mitch McConnell earlier today to get a better feel for what might be setting up in the next couple days.
Now, on another matter, on Sunday, President Trump signed into law another historic bipartisan rescue package. It will provide major support to American families through what we hope will be the home stretch of our fight with the coronavirus. Congressional Republicans, Congressional Democrats, and President Trump's senior team had all worked together to pass hundreds of billions more dollars in urgent assistance to the people who need it most. This new law will set up a targeted second round of paycheck protection to save jobs. It will renew and continue federal programs that have helped laid-off workers endure the crisis. It will send more cash to households. It will invest billions in vaccine distribution so the success of Operation Warp Speed kills the pandemic as fast as possible, and much more. This bipartisan compromise was our shot at getting help to working families on the urgent timeline that they need. Once again, I want to applaud President Trump for signing the bill and getting this much-needed assistance into the pipeline. During this process, the President highlighted 3 additional issues of national significance he would like to see Congress tackle together. First, as he explained, the President would like further direct financial support for American households. Second is the growing willingness on both sides of the aisle to at least re-examine the special legal protections afforded to technology companies under Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, including the ways it benefits some of the most prosperous, most powerful big tech firms. And the third subject, since every American, regardless of their politics, should feel the integrity of our democracy is beyond reproach, is exploring further ways to protect the sanctity of America's ballots while continuing to respect the federal government's limited role in standing behind state and local government who actually run elections. Those are the 3 important subjects the President has linked together. This week, the Senate will begin a process to bring these 3 priorities into focus.
All right, guys. So Mitch McConnell essentially just talked about the bill that President Trump signed into law on Sunday, where, essentially hundreds of billions of dollars are set to be, sent out to millions of American families and businesses. He also talked about the 3 additional issues that President Trump wanted to see Congress work on together, which included the additional direct financial support for American families, American households. So, we're talking about the $2,000 stimulus checks, without so many words. And he also talked about re-examining the legal protections afforded to tech companies under Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. And the third thing he talked about was addressing the voter fraud to ensure the integrity of voting and to restore Americans' faith in the voting system. Now, of course, Mitch McConnell also just spoke with Senator John Cornyn for a few minutes. And after speaking with Mitch McConnell for, just a short while, John Cornyn mentioned that Mitch McConnell says that he does not support the Cash Act for $2,000 stimulus checks that the House just passed. Now, I don't think that this comes as a big surprise. Mitch McConnell doesn't support anything that the Democrats want, right? So, but Mitch McConnell might be willing to support a bill that includes the Cash Act with the $2,000 stimulus checks if he can add the liabilities protection into the bill. So this is really good news, and it sounds like there might be a counter offer coming from Mitch McConnell on these stimulus checks. And, if I were to guess, I would really kind of guess that something's going to happen really quickly on this one. Time is running out. You've got the Georgia runoff elections right around the corner, and there's a lot of incentive for Mitch McConnell to go ahead and do so. Plus, if Mitch McConnell can get on board with this thing, I'm pretty sure that he's going to be able to convince the remainder of Republicans that are needed to get this Cash Act bill passed with the $2,000 stimulus checks in it. So I'm kind of really excited / anxious. I know you guys are anxious. I know everybody wants to get some money quickly. But when things play out like this, where Mitch McConnell says, okay, I'll go ahead and bring this bill to this, the stimulus bill to the floor for a vote, as long as he can add an amendment for liability protections against businesses. If the Senate votes and passes on this, then essentially what Mitch McConnell will be doing is he's approving the $2,000 stimulus checks while adding the liabilities protections in there for businesses. And essentially he's going to be putting the ball back into the court of the House. So at that point, the House would actually have to say yay or nay on both the Cash Act that includes the $2,000 stimulus checks for the American people. But in addition to that, they're also going to have to approve liability protections for businesses, because based on what it looks like it's setting up, Mitch McConnell is going to more than likely say, hey, yeah, we'll do $2,000 stimulus checks, but I'm going to go ahead and pack in or, tuck in this liability protections for businesses, get it approved from the Senate, send it back over the House, and kind of leave it in the House's court and almost make it a House issue to approve or deny it. So that's what looks like is being set up right now. And, just playing devil's advocate, it does sound kind of genius to, if you think about the way that this has played out, and it really makes me wonder how far ahead these politicians strategize in order to ultimately get what they want in the end. Now, keep in mind that the Senate is adjourned until 3 p.m. tomorrow, but they will be back at 3 p.m. on Wednesday, which is when they will vote on the NDAA at 5 p.m. Now, you also got Bernie Sanders, who says he's going to do everything in his power to block the veto and override the vote until a guarantee of the $2,000 stimulus checks are going to be voted on. So, it really does suck that the American people have to kind of hang in the balance, with empty pockets and empty stomachs and looming evictions, not to mention a host of other things. Tons of benefits have already expired. I mean, there's just like nothing left at this point, We have to hang in the balance while these negotiations happen, but it is what it is, guys. And I do my best to bring you guys the news, whether it's good or bad. So I hope you guys appreciate that part of me. And I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a new bill being offered by Mitch McConnell within the next day or so, because it is crunch time. You got the Georgia runoff elections right around the corner. But anyway, guys, that's all for the stimulus check update and stimulus package update. I will definitely keep my eyes open and my ear to the ground for any and all stimulus check updates, Cash Act updates as well. And I will see you guys in the next one. And of course, if you haven't already, definitely subscribe to the channel and tap the notification bell so that you know as soon as I release new videos and content. And I'll see you guys on the next one.